How you doing? This is a Big Dreamers podcast, and today with us we have Celeste, and we're just gonna get to know each other. We knew each other back in high school, like we had similar friends, but just over the years, like naturally, like life has happened, and we've definitely grown in different levels. And so, like lately, I just really wanted to sit down and just have a conversation and see like what she's been up to, what's the kind of stuff that she's been doing. I know that she has been an entrepreneur, and she's actually been doing a bunch of different entrepreneurial things over the years. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about someone with a dream, someone with an idea, someone that wants to do something just a little bit different than what is traditional. And just kind of talk about like the journey, there's struggles, there's things that we can learn. And I'm a big believer that the power of one, or the law of one, where it's the same spirit, just in a different form. I think that how you learn in certain things in life is how that can translate into other things. And so, yeah. So Celeste, how you doing?
Amazing. You?
I'm doing awesome. I'm super excited. Oof, it's hot in here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. I appreciate you for showing up like so last minute. But yeah, so tell me a little about yourself. Like
Just to roll off of that,
Yeah.
showing up last minute. I think that that's one of the, important things that I've learned as an entrepreneur is just getting it done, showing up, don't wait. When you have that energy and that feeling to go after something that you want, follow that, because that energy may not be there a month from now. You have to take advantage.
Yeah.
You have to take advantage of that charge that you're getting, I say, from the universe, and just do it and go for it. And I think that that's been one of my advantages along my journey is like, I get an idea and I'm like, okay, how can I create this? And I start taking action immediately. I'm like, who do I need to call? What do I need to do? What do I need to research? What podcasts do I need to listen to, right? What do I need to look up on YouTube to learn how to do this thing? So I think that starting off with that, it's a good way to start on the Big Dreamers podcast, to just like, inspire people to take action when that idea comes. And remember that doubt is the virus to your dreams.
Definitely.
The moment that you begin to question anything and you start to doubt, like that energy just slowly starts to die off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true. We actually, I wrote like a little bit of an ad. I do a little bit of script work. And that was actually one of the main lines. It was letting doubt kind of creep in, that kind of like, it's like a virus that kind of fills in everything. It, fills in the cracks of like ambition and all these things, desire. It takes it away. It takes the wind out of your sails. So like, I 100% agree with that. Like sometimes it's better to be a little stupid and a little dumb. Like, because sometimes when you overthink, you overcalculate, you overanalyze, and then you psych yourself out. Like you come up with all these reasons why not, but fuck it. Yeah. If you fail, you fail. But like, I remember there was something that I learned in church a long time ago. It was fail forward, or fall forward. I forgot, something like that. Well, basically like, even if you fall, like don't fall backwards, like just fall forwards, because at least when you get back up, you're going to be one step further. And so like, I 100% agree.
Yeah. And you don't really ever know like where that step is going to take you.
Yeah.
Like, for example, what I'm doing now is connected to what I was doing 10 years ago, but I had no idea that I was going to be doing this.
Really? How so?
I just I started off like having an idea to have a clothing line because I really wanted to make t-shirts.
Yeah.
That's it. I just wanted to make t-shirts. Like it was so simple. And I was like, okay, I want to make t-shirts. So I want to make a logo. So I made a logo and I made t-shirts. And then I started selling t-shirts. And like that first sale that I had changed my entire life, because it gave me the realization that I can make money through something that I created. And that for me was nerve-wracking, because big. I was like, I didn't even want to take the person's money. I'm like, what? Like,
I'm good enough. Like
my belief system was always, go to school and get a job. And like, you get paid through the means of your job. Like your job pays you. But then when I made that first sale and that person, and then I had like a moment, I was like, wait, I have money from something that I sold. Like, this is crazy. So from there, my whole world opened up, and it took a lot of time to actually, get confident in like receiving that, because, entrepreneurship goes a lot into self-worth. because you have to really believe that
Yeah.
what you're selling is something that's worth
Bro.
people giving their money to you.
Being an entrepreneur is tough.
It's crazy. It's a
So
whole
tough.
deconstruction of like the original paradigm and
Yeah.
programming that they have given us. And I think like, I don't know, it's been more than 10 years maybe that like that moment happened. And now it's just, I'm in a different mindset. Like I see the world completely different than a lot of people. And I even have sometimes family members tell me like, how do you make money? Like, I don't get it. And I'm just like, you just create. Like I am the creator of my reality
well,
now.
I mean, you're basically writing your own checks.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's sick.
Yeah. And I recently got to the point where, you know, I like to look at life as a big game now, because my philosophy at this point is like, I'm going to live because I'm going to die. Like, that's pretty much it. And I'm just going to have fun with this thing. And there's like, you know, this whole like thing going around about the Matrix, right? Like we live in a Matrix, like it's all this code.
Yeah,
and, like, you know,
like,
you can create whatever you want. Like I've been playing around with that theory, and that has actually allowed me to like recognize even more that I'm the creator of this Matrix outside of me. So I think the most important thing is like learning that your inner world creates your outer world. So like whatever it is that's happening inside of you is happening outside of you.
Yo, you're dropping bombs right now. You're dropping bombs right now. Like I hope you're paying attention. Like for real.
Yeah. This is me all day. It's amazing. And if it's not, then like, you know, you have to, a whole other topic is like you have to have people around you that like also like support the dream and support this whole thing. But your inner world creates your outer world. So I think it was Bob Proctor. I have it on my Instagram. He said, trying to change your outer world without changing your inner world is like trying to change the reflection in the mirror without first changing yourself. So it's like, if you go in front of the mirror, you're like, I don't like this outfit, and you're trying to change the mirror, that's insane. Like, that's literally insanity, and that's what people are doing.
Hold up, I gotta digest that for a second. Like, hold up. Trying to change the world is like trying to change the person in the mirror without changing yourself. Like, that's... I mean, is there a better way to say that? Like, I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I like put it on my little highlights. Like I have only a business Instagram, but I'm like, I want to make people think too, you know? So like I put that there. And it's so true. And like, once you start to understand that, you start to learn that like the most important thing that anybody should ever be doing is going within themselves and trying to change that inner world, because whatever it is that's happening in there, you're going to be experiencing it out here. And this is just facts. This is just law. Like and the more that you experience it, the more you recognize like, okay, yeah, this is very true. Like you're like out of alignment one day, and then all of a sudden like you're having the worst day ever. Yeah. It's not the worst day ever. You're just not in alignment. And I tested this theory. I went to Whole Foods one day, and I was like, I was feeling really chaotic within myself. Yeah. And the way I shifted it so quickly was really cool. But I walked into Whole Foods, and like, you know where like you get the carts? Like that whole moment was like so chaotic, and I paused. I was like, wait. This is not the experience I want to be having. And this is another thing that like I think we need to realize, that you can, at any moment in your day, you can pause, realign, and then continue. Yeah. But the notion of people thinking that they need to change the outer world to feel good inside, like perpetuates that chaos that they're constantly in on a daily basis. Like, you need to just stop, breathe, align yourself, and watch how the world changes. So I was like, whoa, this is not the experience I want to have in Whole Foods right now. Like, I need to do something about this. So like, I literally stepped out and like I stopped, and I was like, take a moment. Yeah. I aligned myself. I went back into Whole Foods. Whole Foods was the calmest place in the universe. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, I am controlling this external reality with my inner state of being. And there was a friend of a friend that said once, becoming a millionaire wasn't hard. Believing that I could was. And when I heard him say that, I was like, this guy has a key. Kind of felt that first. This guy has a key. Like, he knows, like, your belief system is creating all of this stuff, to the point where there's things that we experience that it's called confirmation bias. Have you ever heard of that? No. It's like, no matter how absurd your belief is, reality will show you that it's true.
I've heard of, now that you gave me, I 100%, I actually never heard it like the term like confirmation bias, but
yeah, it's like the psychological.
Yeah, like it's like the saying, like, if you think that you will and you think that you won't, you will be right. Period. Yeah, and I mean, I'm crazy enough to always think that I can, even though sometimes like, but I just feel like everything's an opportunity to grow. So, and at that moment, like when you're at Whole Foods, like that's a moment.
And that's how fast it can change at any second, this way or that way. Like you control the pendulum of your reality every single day, every single moment. And of course, there's things that we're gonna encounter that, like, maybe you might encounter like a pissed off person, but then you get to the point where like you get so connected and in tune with your inner world where like you'll look at that person and you'll be like, I hope you feel better. Like, you know, like it won't even affect you at that point because you're so in alignment within yourself. Yeah, and I think that society has always taught us like, seek without, like, you know, the love of your life is out there. Like, no, the love of your life is inside of you. Yeah. Like, everything is inside of you. Like, once you get to understand those inner mechanisms, like, I think reality completely transforms. And I can't say I'm yet a master, right?
Yeah.
But I think I've played with this idea enough to feel confident enough to say that that's a fact. Like, your inner world is creating your outer world. So if you want to change something outside of yourself, go within first.
But you're speaking facts. I mean, you're speaking facts. I remember, have you ever watched The Walking Dead? Mm-mm. So, I mean, I loved The Walking Dead up until they started getting crazy, but that's a whole other thing. Mm-hmm. But there was this moment, there was this saying in The Walking Dead where it's like, in life, you can be like, life is like hot water, right? And you can be like an egg. You can go in soft and come out hard. You can be like a carrot or a potato, go in hard and come out soft. Mm. But I got a friend that, because when you said that, you reminded me like what you were saying of how he is like changing your reality. And at that essence, he's like coffee. Like you were like coffee at that point. Like you basically changed the whole environment. Like you changed the water. Like you turned the water into something else. And like you didn't let it kind of rule you. Like you ruled the moment. Like you saw that there was something going on and you felt like it just wasn't right. That's fire. That's powerful.
And I had another experience at Whole Foods again. Like I have all these mystical experiences.
I should probably go to Whole Foods. I keep going to Walmart. That's probably why I got all this frustration in my life.
You gotta go to Whole Foods.
That's my problem.
You gotta go to Whole Foods.
I gotta shop better.
So I have stories, but like, so I was going to Whole Foods when this one had an elevator, and again, like I just play around with these like, little things that I learned on YouTube concepts, because I'm like, let me see, like it's all fun. So I was in an elevator. It was me and like these two other ladies, and they knew each other. And I, in that moment, had the opportunity to see if I can influence my environment. Like if the energy that I'm putting out can influence my environment. They were both talking about like some drama, like something really stressful. And I felt that energy. And I was like, nah, this is not the energy. So, I mean, you could call me a crazy person, whatever. I closed my eyes and I started sending love. I started sending like this pure energy to both of them. I swear, the moment that I did that, it's almost as if like the channel changed within them and they stopped that conversation that they were having like in an instant. And then one of them goes to the other, is like, oh, I was thinking about going to a yoga class. Like,
shut up.
I swear.
No way.
I was mind blown. I was like, maybe I did that, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't want to take credit for anything. But the way that it all unfolded, like, how do you go from talking about something super stressful to then me being like, sending love, like over here, and then instantly changing your conversation to like, hey, I thought about going to like a yoga class. Like, is that something you wanted to do? I was like, this is wild. This is so wild.
Dude, that's pretty like powerful.
It is powerful. And it's real. Like, it's very real. Like, your emotional state of being and your energy is rubbing off on everybody around you. That's why me personally, like because we're all human, right? Like I'm human as well. Mm-hmm. I experience the highs and the lows of being a human. And when I'm in a state of being where like I'm not feeling my best, like I make sure that I don't surround myself around anybody. Like if I need support, like I'll call someone or whatever. But I think that it's important to like nurture yourself in those moments and get yourself in a good state of being, because you don't want to like spew that on to anybody else. Vice versa, like if there's somebody that's in a low state of being and you're like super high, you have the potential to influence them.
Yeah, they
have to make the decision. They have to say, I want to go there, I want to meet you there, because there's people that will drag you down. You got to be careful with that.
You really got to be careful with that.
You gotta be careful.
I remember when I was like because I live my life like through metaphors and analogies. Like I'm super. It could be because I grew up at church, so I just like how like Jesus kind of speaks in riddles sometimes. Like
metaphors.
Yeah, like super metaphorical. Like when they were like, oh, like Jesus, like whose money is this? And then like, oh, well, whose face on it? And then it was like, oh, Caesar's. Well, give Caesar's what's Caesar's and give God's what's God's. Like and like things like that. That people always try to like catch him, and he just gets him back. And so there was this example where this girl, she basically got on a chair and she was like she had her brother on a chair high and she was like on the bottom. And she was like, if my brother wanted to lift me up, it would be really, really difficult. But for me to bring him down, it would be the easiest thing. And that's life. Like you really got to watch out, that people don't bring you down in the process. And we've heard it 1,000 times, like, oh, you fight with a pig in a pig pen and, and the pig is just a pig, but now you're just dirty. Like, and the pig, he was always dirty, So like, you really got to watch out. You really got to protect yourself. I really learned to be like super selective, especially like, so like I remember, like I told you earlier. Well, really, you guessed it, like through your clairvoyance.
I picked up the signals.
Yeah, that I had been incarcerated. Like I was locked up for about 4 years, and in that time we had a friend, and my boy. So my boy, my boy G. He's super into like helping people. Like that is. He believes that is his life mission. Like he thinks that, like because it's not a thought anymore. Like he's all action. And so he is all about like helping people just be the best version of themselves, whatever that is. And he's not someone that accepts mediocrity, which is super cool and kind of annoying, but cool.
Yeah.
And so we had a friend and he had like helped me out. Right. And then he had helped out my boy, Jeremy, the one that I talked about earlier. But then like there was this guy named Chris. Right. And like Chris, see, he had an extremely tough life, He was this white boy, but like he was like in gangs. Like he was an orphan. Like he was like adopted by like 5 families, like something like it was just a bunch of craziness. Right. And he just had like this anger in him that you just could not shake. And you really couldn't tell Chris anything. You couldn't tell him nothing, right? And I kept like over the process, like I kept telling him, like I'm like, bro, like I know you really want to help Chris, but like you just got to make sure that you like don't get too involved, bro, because I feel like you're trying to like force the issue. You're trying to force the issue right now. And he goes, yeah, but like look at you and look how much you've turned out, and look at Jeremy, like he's doing amazing. I'm like, yeah, but we wanted it, like. Even in myself, like I at first didn't want it, but like, I mean, the dude was speaking facts. Like I'm not somebody that like, I mean, I may like complain, like I'm a bitch, I'm like, bro, but I'm gonna do it, because I know it. But with him, I don't think he could accept it. And see, my boy, he's kind of ironic because he's not the tallest person. Like Chris, I think he was like 6'1". He was like taller than me, but like my boy's like 5'7", and he's a little bit of like, he has like this star power about him in which he gets a lot of attention. And so people get really jealous about that. Like me, I'm not really a jealous person. I actually like, I've never been a hater. I mean, I love the things that he does because it really motivates me. But Chris was tough. And basically like, long story short, we were for months, we were just growing. Every day we would wake up, work out in the morning. And then after we'd work out, come back, take our protein shakes, go eat. Then we'd work on music or we play sports, and then we'd do yoga. We would read every day. We really took that moment that we were separated from the world, and we took it as the ultimate boot camp to be the best version of ourselves, because we understood. See, they gave him 11 years and they gave me 5, but we understood no matter what, we were gonna get out. Now, what we were going to do with our time, are we going to be like everybody else that just watches TV and eats honey buns all day? Like, yeah, sure, we had our moments, like we had our shows, but no, that's not how we were. But when Chris came into the picture, his energy kind of threw us off. And it literally launched us into like, and I'm not going to blame him because obviously we made our decisions, but the vibe was not the same. See, we held each other, like me, G, and Jeremy, we held each other accountable. We called each other out. Like we were like, bro, like you're messing up, dog. Like you need to tighten up. Like miss a workout. Like no, bro, you're getting up at 6 a.m. Like this, like we're not doing this, like for real. But with him, it was too much, and like that's why, like going back to what you said about being selective about who you're with, and like it's super important, because I've never forgotten about that. Like sometimes like we really want to help people and we really have the best intentions. And I mean, you hear the stories all the time, like, oh, you know, I used to help that. You know, I don't want to be nice anymore. Like now there are people that are assholes because they've literally been ripped and tricked and played 100 different times in 100 different ways. And it sucks.
Yeah. And it's not the other person's fault. Like you decided to put that time and energy into that.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when you have a big heart and good intentions and you want to help people, like genuinely, I think most people want to do that. It's natural to fall into those situations. Like I have fallen into those situations many times, and it became a pattern for a long time in my relationships. Like I was like trying to save people and trying to save everyone, especially like when you're awakening and you're like realizing a lot of things. Like you want everybody around you to realize this, because you're like, yo, wake up. Like the foods, like the this, the that, like your habits, like all of these things. But I think as of recently, very recently, I got into the point where I have so much faith and trust in God that I know that God got them too.
Yeah.
And that has allowed me to like let it go. Like, like they have God as well. Like they will find it. All you can really do sometimes is pray for those people, you know, and if they happen to cross paths with you, just in that moment, share what it is that, you know, you're called to share in that moment. But you can't really try to like bring somebody up because maybe they're not ready. Like sometimes I think about if I were to have all of the awareness that I have right now, like bundled up and given to me 5 years ago, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Like I wouldn't have been ready to like have all of this right now in that moment. So I think with that, like you just kind of got to trust that people will find their way and just be a mirror, like keep doing you and they will reflect. Also in moments where I have needed help, nobody ever tried to like save me. Like people just came and they did what they had to. Naturally, they inspired me.
Yeah, it was all organic. It just happened. Yeah,
it was just so natural. There was no force. And when that happened, like actually that was a big realization. I was like, oh, so that's how you really help people. You're just there, like naturally.
You let life put you in position.
You don't try to force it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, you said something interesting. You talked about awakening, right? Like, like what was your awakening moment? Like what really like brought you to that realization?
My moment. Let's see. I think.
Or moments. I mean, sometimes it's a series.
Yeah. So there was this one time where I was really young. I can't even remember. It was like. I was probably like 10 or something. And that's like the first moment where like I feel like I came into like a higher sense of consciousness.
Yeah.
So I was like at a family party and like, you know, we're Hispanic. I'm sure you relate to this. Everybody's drinking and there's music and there's like, it's chaotic. It's wild.
It's just another Tuesday.
Right.
Tuesday.
So I was at this family party. And I was sitting on the couch and I was kind of just chilling, like just observing the environment. I was probably like 10 years old. And I looked around and I'm like, what the fuck are all these people doing? Like, I was like, what are they doing? Like, do they even know what they're doing? Like that was my thought. At like 10 years old, I was like, do they even know what they're doing? And then I just kind of went back into like, you know, being a kid. And that was my first moment where like, I think I became aware and I became the observer, because I think in order to continue to wake up and be more conscious, you have to be an observer. Yeah. You have to be the one that's watching the experience, not part of the experience. Yeah. Because if you're part of the experience, you're entangled in it. Yeah. You're emotional, you're triggered, you're this, you're that. But once you become the observer, that's true. Now you get to see things from a different perspective. And it's almost as if like your higher self is watching this experience. So that was like the first experience. And then I had this really good friend in high school. Fast forward, I had this really good friend in high school. His name is Patrick, and we're still friends. Like, we hung out recently. And he was like... I'm thinking like... I'll show you. I might, but I've met like 4 Patricks. Yeah. Like. He like would just drop seeds in high school. Like he was reading all these crazy books like David Wilcock and like The Power of Your Energy and like aliens and like all these like crazy topics. And
and that was way before it was cool. Like
like way
before that was cool. Like
I remember like I would leave class, I would be like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and like he'd be like, yo, like let's go chill, and like we would just walk around Goldman and like just talk, and he would like tell me about this book he read and about like Reiki and energy healing and like all of these all these crazy topics. And he really like opened the door again to like all of these things that I was always kind of interested in, but never really dived into it because, again, like your environment, right? Like I was hanging out with people who just wanted to party and like do drugs and like...
That was high school.
Whatever, you know, like, yeah, all that stuff was fun, but like it's not productive or
at
conducive to like
anything.
I'm glad I did it though. Like there's no what ifs.
Because you got it out of you.
Yeah, I got it out of my system. And he started to talk to me about all these different things, and then that's when things really started to change, and I started to like kind of separate myself from the people I was hanging out with, and I started to just ponder, like just think, like just ask. And I think that if anybody wants to like wake up or whatever you want to call it, the number one thing that you should do is just ask. Be ready, right? Like you're gonna get answers. So there's 3 questions that I would ask myself. I'll be like, I'll look up at the sky and I'll say, who am I? What am I? And why am I here? And when I would ask those questions, I almost would feel this sense of like, this essence kind of like surround me. Like it was like this energy that would come to me that would make me feel like it was very spiritual. It was like, it would take me to a place of like being like the essence of this reality, not like identified with the I, right? Or like what people know me as or what I know myself as. So I started to ask those questions, and I started to ask a bunch of questions. And then obviously we have the internet, right? So you're interested in these things and you start learning about consciousness and the quantum field and like crystals and energy and like all of these different topics. And then I remember like as I was graduating high school and like right after that, I was alone for a while. Like I would just hang out in my room and just research and just watch videos and like watch all of these different topics of like, you know, things that people don't really talk about.
Damn, you were like ahead of your time. You and Patrick.
Because
I'm thinking like,
yeah.
I mean, I was like in high school. I never really went to too many parties per se. I've never really been too crazy about partying. Never been too crazy about like drinking, but I do remember the environment, and the environment was stupid. I mean, people were taking like Xanax and like Oxy, and like it was crazy. Like
ridiculous.
I mean, I got so many friends. I don't even want to put their names out there. I don't want to like, you know, like because they're different now. Like, well, actually, some of them died. Like yeah, like